everybody at ESL Pro League. Season
22.
22.
Yeah.
I don't have to know that until tomorrow.
No, and by the time this is out, it will be tomorrow.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe Jason's motivated.
What do you mean? It's late at night already. It's already 8 p.m.
Yeah, but he's well adjusted. He's been here for a while.
I have been here for a week.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know what that has to do with it, but I have been here for a week.
last night was the first night you would have been sleeping without a wife and a baby.
I got good sleep, though, you know?
Even with the wife and the baby?
Outside of the first day, yeah.
Why, the first jet lag?
Yeah, the first day the baby was jet lagged, which is why I was up at 4:30 in the morning answering questions on Discord.
How's it going in Discord? Is it all right over there?
It's pretty good. You should think about coming back.
Probably not.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it was just jet lag with the baby the first night, but after that we were walking like 10 to 15 miles a day. So like we would get home and just pass out.
You carry a
Like-
15. Is a baby? What's a baby weigh? About 15 kilos?
She's at 20.
Depends on the age, chat. They're not all universal sizes.
She's 26 pounds ish, right around there. I don't know
So
what that is
let's
in
just
kilos.
halve it.
Yeah, like
So-
14, 15. You
I
were
was
actually,
close.
You were
I was
actually
pretty
very
close.
She's
Yeah.
small for her age, though. Small for her age.
Yeah, no,
You're
that's
close
fine.
on the
It's
small baby.
okay to be small. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with being small.
Yep, it's true.
You know, there's nothing wrong with being small at all. But yeah, you've been in Sweden for a while. You got a friend who lives here.
Yeah, in Uppsala.
What the fuck is that?
Uppsala. It's a little village out in the middle of nowhere. They got a castle.
Yeah,
it's
I
kind
mean-
of cool.
It's Get Right.
Ah, yeah, okay. he's got a castle. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I went out and saw him for a day. That was cool. They came into the city a couple times. Yeah, it was all good. We had a fun week. We had a really good, fun family week in Stockholm.
He's not selling it.
Yeah. What do you want? We walked around. We went to I forget the name of the place. Freiburg told me to go there, and so did
Gamlestan?
Hampus. No, we were just north of Gamlestan.
Okay.
We walked into Gamlestan for coffee pretty much every day.
Okay.
It was fuck. They're gonna kill me. They're not actually, but it's the outdoor zoo museum they have.
Outdoor Zoo Museum.
Yeah, they have this outdoor museum that like encapsulates Swedish life over the last few centuries. So they have like an old
Bloody
school
hell.
like Swedish farmstead, a bunch of like pigs and chickens and farm animals, and then they have all the Nordic animals. They have like a lynx hanging out. They had like 5 bears, had a bunch of reindeer, but it's set up in like almost on like the top of like a hill cropping, and it's like its own sustained village. Like it takes a long time to walk around.
Said
in
from
it.
the last like couple hundred years.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe they have the Balkan gorillas from the 80s and 90s that came over.
What's the difference between a Balkan gorilla and a
I don't
regular
know if
gorilla?
they. I think it's about men.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not like,
okay, yeah.
I don't think they have gorillas in the Balkans.
I'm just
Jason.
trolling because people just came over, escaped from shit, and started doing bad things. I guess not all of them. Some
Something
of them.
about my brain, I think it's due to the broadcasting career that I have, but something about my brain, as soon as somebody refers to a human being as a monkey, I get a little bit scared. I get a little bit
Fair enough.
jumpy. There's been some situations, and I get a little bit,
Yeah,
Just-
it's bound to happen.
right?
But that was your highlight of the trip, was it?
No, it was actually the drink at the end of the day. Was his
How do
highlight.
you do an economy flight? Was it economy? Did you go business?
Economy.
Really?
I'm not making the money to fly the
Yeah.
whole family, but that's 3 business class.
Do you have to
tickets,
pay
so
for a
everyone-
child that size with the plane
You
seat?
do, yeah. When she
So we're
turns
2.
2 years old, is her own ticket.
Can you smuggle her in the suitcase or something?
We thought about it. We thought it would have been a bad idea.
For what reason? It save you a bit of money. How much do you pay for a baby ticket? Or
Same as
Oh,
me and
full
you.
price?
Yeah,
full price?
full price.
Who are they taking? This is fucked.
Yeah.
So was it like you had the 3 on the window type thing, or you you don't need a bassinet?
We
for handy, do you?
were in the middle 4, so we had 3 of the middle 4 on the long haul.
So
On the
who had to
short-
sit next to the
short maps we
stranger?
were the short flights we were separated.
Who sat next to the stranger?
I did.
Okay, he's a good
Yeah,
man. He's a good man. That's
I
a
did.
one for the team. So it would have gone Jane, baby, you.
And then stranger.
Yeah, of course. But I just you're insulating. See, he's very, very protective.
Yep.
Easy aisle access for Jane in and out, and Jason's pinned so he can have as many beers as he wants.
Well,
0 beers.
not
Zero
too.
beer.
I'm not a drinker while I travel. I don't
Not-
like drinking and traveling.
Also, not
you're
too
not
many.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're,
I'm drinking right now.
when you're with the baby, like that changes things. You have to be on top of things.
Oh, I don't really care about that either.
And he's not breastfeeding, so
Yeah, anymore.
We were doing dinner reservations one night. Tell me what you guys think. Jane had the baby like strapped to her back, and we were going out to dinner
like a
and-
Balkan gorilla.
like,
Yeah.
like a gorilla. And we were waiting like 15 minutes for like my friend to show up for dinner reservations. We were just kind of walking around the area and we were kind
Was
of
he
lost.
late or were you early?
We were early.
Okay.
We were kind of lost of things of which to do. At that point, we've been waiting already like 15 minutes. So she just goes, "Hey, there's a bar here. Why don't we go in and then like take a shot and we'll just hang out."
Well, you can do that.
You can do that, but I felt like there's a social stigma with the baby attached to the back.
Yeah, but you're American.
Right, but I don't know if I want that to be the thing that gives me a pass. You know
It's
what I'm
not
saying?
it's not the thing that gives
That's-
you a pass. It's
Yeah.
just the people go, oh, he's American.
Yeah, it's a fucking American.
But it's the baby. It's not, it's that seems a little weird. I felt like a drink I could have pulled off. Like sit down, have a beer, sit down, have a drink.
I think
but
a shot is way better than sitting there drinking for an hour with the kid. You know,
I guess in a
you
way.
just get it done. You're just
guess in
like,
a way,
listen, you
from
just
one
need a little
perspective.
pick me up. You know, you didn't want to have the kid in the bar. I don't know if that's even allowed.
Did you get a baby killer when you were in there?
Yeah.
It's like a
That's
baby
good.
chino.
Yeah.
You sort of did there.
Yeah.
I tried to think of which alcohol that would work with. Baby bourbon. I couldn't get that one going. Baby gin. That one didn't sound.
Baby
great.
bourbon's an alliteration though. You at least got that
True.
going for
I don't
you.
know. It's just
That's kind of a cheat code.
alliteration. Wow, we've come so far.
You know, here something that people are freaked out. Like in Scandinavia, what they do a lot is in the winter, even like they go inside to grab a coffee or whatever, and they leave the stroller outside with the kid in it, sleeping in fresh air. So you
Yes.
will see
Give
coffee
me-
shops with like just a line of strollers. Right? Obviously, kids are tucked in inside, and the babies actually. I mean, but it's like so they stay out in the fresh air.
Who's
and
supervising the child?
no one. It's just, I mean, you
They
see them
trust
from
it.
the window, and it's just the trust factor, and no one will really come and.
I don't think anyone's doing it on like the street that the hotel is on, but like out in like a more of like a suburby, calmer area. I think that probably.
I'm
occurs more.
concerned.
Yeah, it seems weird.
I don't trust anyone. I'm from Serbia. Like I don't.
It seems weird
I don't
until
trust a
you have a
motherfucker to
baby.
keep an eye on my umbrella, let alone put my kid outside. You crazy?
Yeah, it just once you have one, I think you get to the point where you're just like, no one is gonna fucking want this.
I did have a period of time where I thought I wanted one, and then the more I've thought about it, the less I want one. So
I went through that phase. I never came back. She just got pregnant.
She just got you.
and then now I'm all into it. You know.
yeah, so
Yeah.
You don't really have a choice, do
Yeah.
you?
Now I'm all in.
Yeah, and what is it? What do you think it costs to raise a child in the modern day, Jason? From
Oh
the ages
shit! When
of-
I was growing up, it was like $1 million to 18 or something like that.
What
wasn't it?
Shut the fuck up. No one spent $1 million on you, little guy.
Jason's going to ask AI right now. He's going to get to the bottom of this.
Dude, I actually upgraded. I went to ChatGPT instead of Grok.
It's better.
Yeah, I wanted to get away from the information purely curated from X because y'all are train wrecks.
Oh, it's crazy out there at the moment. And Jason, this is great. You're going to be able to decouple your brain from the manosphere. Some of our YouTube commenters are talking about. So this will really help you.
What am I asking it again?
How much does it cost in
How much
2025 to
does
it
raise a
cost?
child in the United States of America from birth to the age of
raise
18?
A child to 18 in the U.S. of A.
The best goddamn country on this planet, Yanko.
He's gonna give me Lee Greenwood songs in back.
You should say
The
short.
average cost to raise a child over 18 years is $1 million. Does seem way off now that I see the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take the loss on that one.
How
I'm
much?
confident. 300,000 essentially. 297K.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Really? Is that it?
You split that across 18 years.
But it also is going to
Exactly.
depend on where you live, right? Cost of living is going to be in there.
Yep.
We don't have to go down that road.
What type of schooling are you
Exactly.
looking for?
Private, public,
There's a lot to think about.
charter.
Food.
Yeah. You're going to have a little vegan baby, Jason?
Exactly. No vegan babies.
Okay, well, I'm just checking. You know, OJ's been a vegetarian his whole life. It's kind of strange for such a giant man.
Yeah, true.
And he's Maltese, which makes less sense that he's so big. I live in Malta. Most of the people, not all here, small people.
And I know this is
Small people.
He also is extremely athletic and active. Like,
Yeah.
When we would do IM Australia, he was biking like 25, 30 miles.
I think he's got
which I
that
don't think
thing
is
in.
crazy for bikers, but it's still a lot.
No, but considering we know OJ, I think he's got that bit in his brain that's like fucked.
Sure.
You know, we've all got a bit that's fucked. His
Yeah.
bit in his brain is like, I can do anything, even if he can't, and then he'll just do it. So, I don't know. He's a big lad, isn't he? We haven't seen OJ in a while. He didn't come to
It's
Cologne
been a
this
minute.
year.
It's been a minute.
Or
so-
cattle.
Do you think he does crack out?
Hope so.
I might call him right now.
That's actually a good shout. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Way to take initiative. Get OJ
Yeah.
on the blower. Oh, I need to be taking timestamps.
Oh yeah, because we've been to so many different topics already. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I'm getting into it now before we go into things.
This is the soft entry. I don't think he
He
answers.
might be on his radio.
He can't be. It's not late enough.
That's true.
Oh. Hey, OJ. Right now, just to let you know, this isn't a live podcast, but we are recording a podcast. I'm recording with Jason, Yanko, and that's myself to be the third person.
Amazing.
We're
Hey,
just...
OJ.
Hey OJ.
Hey guys, we're just watching the live remake of How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, okay. Is that anywhere near as good as the animated?
Yeah, it's okay, but everyone's getting very excited about the fact that Hiccup is plummeted towards Earth. What's happening, boys? Anyway, what's
Just a quick one, because we were saying that we haven't seen you much this year, and we just wanted to know when we're going to see you again.
Well, hopefully next year. I was speaking to Karma a couple of days ago. I'm very excited about coming back and getting all over you guys because I have missed you. This year has been remiss of extra Chad. I know of Chad and Jason and Yanko and all you boys.
He's watching How to Train Your Dragon.
Look, we will leave you to the that's great news, OJ. So you get back to the Dragons, and we'll listen to you on the radio tonight. We'll have
Happy
you on.
Father's Day.
Keep slaying,
All right,
OJ.
man. All right, boys. Love you, boys. Love you.
Bye.
There you go, another Talking Counter exclusive.
You don't want to interrupt family time, you know?
Yeah.
As a family man myself. Guys, I fucking hate today.
Okay. Here we go.
Right, what's up?
So much stuff happened.
So much.
Yeah, true.
Too many things happened. I can't keep up with all the things.
Bro, some of the shit really is pissing me off,
Here we
right?
go.
No, I mean, it's like Jason got on it as well. The Gentlemates coach, like, tweeting about...
Oh, you guys are more... Okay.
You know
All
what
right.
I hate? Like, some of the stuff that I hate the most... No, this is the thing, right? This is also, like, shit on Reddit as well. Like, there's dudes out there who write, like, a post or a comment that's, like, you know, 3 different paragraphs, you know, Googling words to sound smart, like, advanced English and shit that I
they're just
don't
using
have.
AI.
Right? Like, people using AI these days, right? And just because it sounds, like, sort of eloquent and it's put together nicely, like, everyone's like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. It's like... That doesn't have to be the case. Like, you just look for substance. And this dude was complaining, like, oh, yeah, we really shouldn't be in a position if you're, like, invited to a higher tier tournament that we get punished for going to that tournament, taking
They
advantage of that
literally were
opportunity.
playing today.
Like, you were
Yeah.
playing, you are in a different, you didn't have that opportunity when the invite thing happened, so you accepted something else, right? No one forced you to. You could have just been practicing. Of course, that wouldn't have made much sense, would it, now? So you were trying to maximize your chances of, you know, getting in the major or whatever, playing LAN games, whatever the goal was. And now, when the opportunity does arise, what you should have done is decline it, right? In all reality, either decline it, like that would have been the gentleman's thing to do. But in today's VRS, I don't know how much room there is for that for tier 2, tier 3 teams. I would say not much. At least you can do is not fucking whine about it. Like, what do you expect to happen? You want them to, you know,
How are they gonna
fucking
replace you?
annul you, right? Forgive you, God bless, go to Pro League. It's like, no, why? Like, you're ruining their tournament for them. You're giving someone a free pass. You're ruining the bracket, right? Then I saw an even dumber thing, just to finish off before you guys come in on this. I saw the wildcard coach talk about, like, whatever, the circumstances are unacceptable, and our boy Messi also steps in and kind of gives his take on the thing, quote tweets it, says, well, if you're accepting the invite, you're sort of agreeing to whatever is happening, you know, like, in a way, right? Like, you should have expected problems from an unproven
you're talking
TO.
about tournament
right?
conditions.
But then he said something wild, like, I think, like, you know, if you go to a tournament and there's significant tech delays, right, like 4 multiple hours long to finish a best of 1, and it's like, you know, the integrity of the tournament is compromised at that point, and you should be allowed to withdraw from the tournament without taking VRS penalties. Like, that's the dudes. Like, this is a guy who's coaching a team that's thinking, like, yeah, you should just be allowed. Like, if the tournament is having tech issues, like, you know, you should be allowed to withdraw from the tournament and not get any penalties, not get DQs, like, not take a hit on your VRS point.
I think that kind of angle is interesting because it's something that when I was just doing HLTV Confirmed the other day, I was talking with Prof and Striker about this and bringing up the fact that these smaller LAN events, you don't know what you're getting into when you're going to them, right? Because it could be at a LAN cafe, you don't know what type of monitors, you don't know if everyone has the same monitor, you don't know if everyone has the same PC, you don't know any of these things, right? And your expectation shouldn't be anywhere near a regular circuit event. And it's the same with even some of these other events that are starting to pop back up, right? Your expectation shouldn't be the same as a Blast, an an ESL or a PGL. And I think that creates a really, really weird conundrum, because when you have this arms race of tournaments that's popped up now, you feel that you need to attend them as these teams to try and get the VRS points, because you're in that race to get them, which I understand, I know what's going on there, but there's no quality control. So how do we solve that problem, right? Because you're meant to, the whole concept from Valve is teams will vote with their feet. Yeah. Right. So if they go, then it clearly means that they're happy, or at least they're complicit with what's going on. So it creates this really weird conundrum, I think. And I don't know how we get on top of that, and how you can have any, like, what could you ask a small TO?
You can't.
Exactly.
You can't reasonably ask that, because they're the ones who have to incur the cost of that. So, I mean, again, it's exactly what Valve says. Vote with your feet. Don't go.
Yeah.
But what they're saying
points.
is, then suck it up and shut the fuck up and go. Like, that's the situation. The scariest thing about it is the idea that, I don't know how much this is happening. I'm kind of a little bit ignorant to it, but I imagine it is happening or will happen. The problem is more the events that pop up that actually are just kind of like the loopholes to get extra VRS point opportunities for teams. Those are the ones who are always going to have the shitty lowest quality, because they're not actually doing the tournament to stick around in the scene for the most.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
if
you're just popping up to prop up VRS points, that's your goal. It's not to run the best event. It's not to become a product that the fans want to watch time in, time out. You're just running for the bare minimum. Yeah. So those are the events where quality control is going to be a nightmare. But as soon as you step in and have, the only people who can do it are Valve. And as soon as they step in and say there's quality control for like different tiers of VRS, and you have to be at this level and have this kind of thing, that's a headache of
no. How you going to do it for open lands? It's not going to happen.
They're not going to do that.
They're definitely not going to do it. I'm just saying that's why.
I think we again come back to the ecosystem. This is what the players, CSPPA, could potentially do. They say, like, these are the minimum requirements to run like an open LAN. You have to have these specs.
They actually couldn't even do that. And they couldn't.
Why not?
Because the trump card is the VRS.
No. But I think the way that Janko's framing it is, it's not black and white in the sense of, this can happen or it won't happen. It's like, okay, so let's say that I'm the rep.
These are the expectations, you mean?
I'm the rep,
is
right?
Is that what you were going for?
No, let's say I'm the rep, right, for the player union, right? And we have a set of standards, and when a LAN pops up, me as the rep getting paid by the players, I reach out and I say, hey, what are your specs? Right? I get all the information, I compile it, and then what I do is I give all that information to the teams. I say, this is the thing. It doesn't fit this, and this that we think is the minimum requirement. It's up to you if you want to go still, right? But we think there'll be problems incurred with this, right? Because you can't police it.
I think ultimately, the way I see it at the end, there is a CSPPA, a functional one, and it has we've progressed far enough where it can have a cooperation with Valve where it becomes a part of the requirements, right?
Well, give me that good shit. What are you smoking, man? What are you reading? Give me some of that.
Something, it needs to be like some sort of standard needs to exist, because anyone can run. And, it's not fair. Who's responsible for it now? HLTV.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are the ones, because they have to decide whether they will put it on and cover it or not. They can decide to not cover a tier 2 event, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
They can decide not to cover a tier 1 event if they want to.
Yeah.
In theory, it wouldn't make much sense, but they could, right? So it puts it on them, because all of a sudden, if they decide to cover it and it ends up being a shit show, then everyone's up in arms. Oh, why did you cover? Why didn't you do your due diligence? It's not up to them, really, in a way. The only thing they should care about is clicks, really, or at least the main thing they should care about. Is this going to generate clicks? Of course, it's all the games at the end of the VRS, Liquid with a new lineup, blah, 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 this, that. So I think that's also the messy part of it. Is that
it is weird how it shifted, though, isn't it? Because what essentially was just a coverage website, and then it's based on.
They have an unbelievable burden placed on them.
And this is the thing, right? Especially for somebody like Striker, who is really hands-on with a lot of this stuff. It shifted to a point where it's like, okay, you're a journalist at this website, and now you're somewhat responsible for. I wouldn't say that hard policing.
Oh, dude, if I were him, I'd be emailing Valve and saying, do I get paid yet?
Yes.
Like, where's my fucking paycheck?
So it is a weird spot to be in, but yeah, I don't know.
Because right now you have a problem where you can just make a tournament, right? Like, it's only up to HLTV. Like, you can make a tournament, put 100K in, make it tier 2 or 50K or whatever, organize. You can even make it in just a country or a region, like we see with Landalan, like we see with the Brazilian tournament, which then restricts
Access to teams,
to some teams like Philadelphia. To some extent, it's wild. You have teams from Europe flying to a small 10K. I don't know how much this one is,
awesome.
right? To play it, which might be cool for the local scene a little bit or whatnot, but it's something that we've never seen before in Counter-Strike. Like Chad, I talked
20 years ago.
I talked a little bit to Henry
even
about this today, because it's like, you see how crazy it can you imagine like someone like you didn't have enough money to like go to a regional LAN sometimes, even within Europe or something. Now your org is paying you to cross the Atlantic to go to a 10K tournament just to be able to get some LAN wins under your belt.
Which is the org footing the bill as well. Which is crazy.
But this
to
is
me
it.
too.
For those orgs, like you Fanatics and UNIPs, the world and stuff, they're in pursuit of the sticker money, right? So it's like those are the orgs that you want to see spending in these type of areas, which is good. It's like back in the day, I remember there was a Source team, and they were called Archaic. They were Australian, and I don't know how they got the money. I guess sponsors, and they flew over and just like did like a string of European LAN events, right? Because that was the only way you could play against any competition, and that wasn't to get ranking points or anything. That was just to play these competitions and see how good you were, right? And
so
it's a tough balance.
I think also it's what we talked about a lot. Like this whole first year is just a test, and Valve doesn't like change things on a whim. Like they need that. They love data. That is, I think, their favorite word in the English vocabulary, right? So they want to accrue it. They want to see how things happen. This is something that we didn't have 3 months ago, 6 months ago, really, in a way. Outside of the NIP one that they did in the first half of the year. That's why people started doing it more now, right? They see the value in it. People have started to understand VRS and how it works a little bit better, and how maybe they could accrue points faster. So that's exactly what Valve wants and was expecting, probably to an extent, right? For people to do all these different things, and for them to be able to have the data and say, all right, this is something that we like about how things have unfolded, and this is something that we don't like, and then going to hopefully make the changes to improve the system as a whole, because right now it's like super, super messy.
Don't you think?
I hate how much time we spent every episode talking about the fucking VRS, man. But
so
it is the most pertinent thing at the moment,
But we're not diving into VRS. We're just talking about the consequences of VRS on bullshit like this.
Give me what you're
But it's
smoking.
important to talk about.
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
Well, the gentle, we covered kind of the wild card thing. I don't know if you'll ever be able to police quality control events. I don't think it'll ever happen.
But I want to point some things out on this, right?
Sure,
because I think that the general viewer, someone who's not aware of what these events are like, or the contrast, won't understand. And when they see like results, or they see things within they're not going to follow the events in the same way. So a lot of things I want people to keep in mind. So first of all, the prize money at these events is minuscule, right? At most, I think one of them was like 50K, and I'm not even sure where that one. Maybe it was 100K. I'm not sure. That's
Landalan was, I think, 100K, 50K first place or something like that.
But that's like the extreme high end. Most of these are probably 15K or lower, right? And then so that's one factor. So this is all in pursuit of points. The others that I want people to keep in mind is when you see these teams going who are like tier 2 cusp teams, right? Like your Fanatics, your NIPs, like these type of squads who are going to these events. Most of these places that they're going to don't have the same amenities that you would get if you came to an ESL Pro League, for example. You're not going to get a prac room.
Definitely not.
So it's going to be like when I was attending LANs back in the day. You would go and you don't have any access to the PC until maybe an hour before your match, if you're lucky, right?
Less, probably less.
And then
most of that will be spent setting up versus warming
exactly, because you're getting there, you want to get everything configured, and these are like LAN
the things are probably broken
it's
because
not
they're
SSDs,
not.
So you don't
Some
have
of the
that.
machines probably have different hardware.
So you have all of those things. Then you have multiple matches in the course of a day, right? And then if there are any delays and the event can only run for the 4 or 5 day span, they don't have the same flexibility as what like a bigger tournament organizer could do to like fandangle things around. So teams are going to be playing a lot more matches over those time periods. So it's not the elite level conditions. And I think that's an important factor, but it doesn't have to be. And I think that's what it shows, right? That the tier 2, tier 3 circuit for LAN needs to become this I would love to see more consolidated efforts from some of these. Like the Draculan thing, I watched the most recent one because Flyquest guys were playing in it. And in terms of, that's right. In terms of the quality of what they were putting on with observers and replay cams and HUDs and everything, like all of that, pretty good. Like their observers are, and the replays and stuff sometimes
they have
are a bit,
cams.
Yeah, some stuff was a bit questionable. It's like, why are they cutting to a context cam here or whatever? But they're learning the ropes, right? And it's like if they did, let's say over the course of a year, they did 6 Draculans. Okay, maybe maybe just do 2, do 1 a season, and then make it a bit more of like a marquee, right? Like you put it now, and you know, and you do a week-long thing, because you know this is where the problem with tier 1 structuring of events and tier 2 structuring of events is going to come into play. The tier 2 circuit should plan heavily to have their events running into the lead up to the cutoff, right? And the tier 1 events, they have a different problem because it's to do with the cutoff of invites, right? So for tier 1 events, I feel like if you know, like the perfect time for a pro league to end would be October 5th, right? And have a juicier tier 1 format with more matches played just before the cutoff, because it would be so enticing, and the matches would be it replaces the RMR for the good teams, right? And if you expand the format to 24 or 32 teams, you expand that pool and you create a really exciting race. And the problem with tier 1 TOs, they have to announce that 2 years in ahead. So that now we're locked into what we have. So they should, in the future, hopefully try and game the system, but we can't in the short term because we're locked into what's been announced already. So that kind of stuff.
Something just crossed my mind. The reason why the invites go out so early is because of visas, right?
Sure. Well, it doesn't matter if you're VP.
Yeah, so I had a crazy thought. What if the invite cutoffs were different for different regions? Because mostly it's like China needs a lot of time to get to Europe or somewhere.
America needs a bit of time.
Maybe a little bit, right? But like, I was thinking, let's say, just, you know, spitballing here, like make it 60 days for Asian teams, or like Chinese, you know, that area, not Australians, they need less time or they don't need it, right? Make it 30 days for...
Oh, you mean to make it tiered depending on where you are from?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can, so you get, and so for
but how would that work with Asian ranking? So let's say like, if you did the cutoff for the Asian ranking, Oceanic teams are included in that.
Yeah, you could do it. You can, for the sake of that, you can keep them the same,
Okay.
or you can keep Oceania, give them an extra month, separate them. Just keep them in the same. Yeah, I don't know. That wouldn't work. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
For the sake of the invites, right? Like for Europeans and Americans, it can be as little as 30 days.
Yeah, if it's Europeans in a European event, make it a
right,
month.
and it could be different for where the event is situated. I guess it will make it a little bit more complicated, but just like...
Would there be any like competitive integrity and things that interact with that in a negative way? Like, for instance, like you give some teams a little bit more of a cushion to make roster changes than other teams.
Well, it depends if we're
You
talking
know
about
what I
the
mean?
major or we're just talking about regular
Right.
events, right?
But even with regular events, isn't that kind of...
Well, not really.
But
Actually-
it would change constantly because events are all over the
place,
globe.
yeah.
It's not like they're always in Europe, so the European teams have an inherent advantage.
I wanted to have this conversation. I thought of this the last episode. I want to get into this, but I can hold on to it. Is there anything else anyone wants to say about these two things? The
No, let's go.
gentlemates?
What are we doing?
Is this the perfect time to bring back up the idea of having like a fucking an off season in terms of like contractual off season, of aligning off season?
Are you bringing this up because of the twists and the liege and situation?
That, and we also finally have the schedule aligned so that the season ends on majors, which is traditionally when the most roster moves. We have everything aligned. Like, it's now the time for that push of where it's like it makes the most sense to say after each major there's generally a 3 to 4 week off season, kind of halfway, but just say this 2 months a year, 1 month after each major is where you can make contractual.
So you're
changes.
saying you can't make any trades within that time?
I'm not saying
period?
any trades, but like, let's say, if you want to take the example of like, I think, what is it, the NBA, where it's restricted and unrestricted free agents, of saying like, this is your unrestricted zone 1 month.
Well, there's
after each
also
major, more of a restricted, but like,
no, there's a
that's more
trade
complicated.
deadline.
Yeah.
You have trade deadlines in all in NBA, NFL.
The idea is there is a period where you can trade anyone, and then there's a period where you can trade anyone who's not a restricted free agent.
How would you define that in Counter-Strike?
I don't know, but like, let's forget about that for now. But just think about the 1 month like trade window period.
Nah,
you know?
like
You don't like
most
you don't like
teams-
having the window.
No, I think most teams, if they want to make a change, would opt to make the change post-major anyway. I think teams who have been
Right.
doing these mids, but teams.
That's an argument for it.
But there's a reason teams do these mid-season changes, because they can see that the major is in doubt, or the performance that they've shown for the start of the season is not good enough, so they want to make that change. Game of Legion's a perfect example.
Yeah, also the October 6th is the invite cutoff for the major. What for the teams that are not in the major? So from the 7th of the
Sure.
October until the off season,
Yeah, can they not make changes?
they
Yeah.
cannot make changes that play
I think
to
the
their
circuit-
team.
I think it would be something that could be very useful in terms of removing the negative, like the twist situation. And
I just
FaZe
think we're
versus
not
Liquid,
franchised. If we were franchised, I wouldn't have a problem with the suggestion. It's just the fact that there's so many moving parts in the Counter-Strike space. It's just tough to justify it for everybody, right?
Don't you think it'd be good to get one of those pieces not moving?
No. Why?
I'm with Chad because I think it's like we're not in a position. We're just at the moment our ecosystem is structured in a way where you have moving parts all the time everywhere. It's like sort of hopefully controlled chaos, but it has to be a little bit chaotic because we have a lot of different stakeholders. Valve is hands-on. I prefer it that way over what's going on in Riot leagues. I don't want us to be like that.
Same.
I think this is better, you know. Is it perfect? Hell no. There's a lot of problems and issues, but I think it's way better than what the alternative is at the moment. I think.
I don't think it's better.
I think the eventuality is, you know, with so much competition, someone's gonna come out on top. You know, at some point, some years down the line.
Do you mean TOs or do you mean teams?
Yeah,
I
think between TOs probably.
Okay, but I think the whole reason that Valve moved in this direction away from the duopoly.
I don't know, but why not? Like, you know, you're thinking. Sorry, Chad.
I don't know.
No, you're right.
Well, let me just say this really quickly so you can just respond to it. Is
Yeah.
My initial reason of saying why not is because I had this conversation with you 9 years ago.
Fair enough.
The TO is going to win. You know, like we've been having this conversation.
Yeah,
Well, ESL and
One
Blast,
of the TOs is
ESL
going
and
to
Blast
win.
were winning,
Yeah, sure.
right? But the duopoly's been broken up now by Valve creating this system.
True, and PGL has stepped in as a big player, right? But they've struggled to secure the best teams this year, right? Can they have a functioning business model consistently where they don't get top 5 teams in the world, right? Like they haven't had vitality
I guess
one time.
That's a good question.
Right? Like, so I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just posing the question, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know if they can or cannot. Like, I know there's, you know, different teams are unhappy with every TO for something, right?
Sure.
There's people unhappy with Blast,
Every TO has their weakness.
people unhappy with ESL. It's like usually it's actually the orgs that are not deciding to play the PGL events because they see more value for themselves at ESL and Blast events, right? But it's, you know, for how long can it continue? You're thinking eventually it would have to.
Look, here's my thought. This year is the remnants of the partner leagues, right? So what's left over in terms of, you know, some loyalty or at least a familiarity. I can't say that word.
Familiarity.
Thank you, Jason. To the TOs that they've been, you know, a part of for a while. So I think that there's a bit of that that's lingering. Obviously, we know at the start of the year, the cabal of teams came together. Now they have the club share coming out of the Blast, out of the PGL thing. But what PGL still don't have is they don't have an incentive program, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you have Blast have an incentive program and ESL have an incentive program. And those things are difference makers. But I think for the teams who have gone to the PGL events, they see that the quality there, they're not getting badgered to do like fucking 8-hour media days, right? That's one thing if I'm a player. You know, you go to some of these other TOs and you're having to do these media days that are fucking all day. And that's something that if I'm a player, I'm saying to my boss, I'm saying, can we just go to the PGL event? Like they let us just play Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and also on top of that, I mean, you even have organizers like Fissure who come in with 1.25 mil prize pool, first place 500K, or, you know, like it's shit, man. If it's not clashing with anything, we might just also go to that and get the money. Team saw what it did for Astralis and Tai Lu first time around. That's why you had G2, Falcons, Furia, like a lot of names play it. Really, it was like Mouse, Spirit, Vitality weren't there, and Navi was at Starlighter, right?
And that could have been also because Fissure Russian, right? So I wonder if Navi want to stay away from that.
So I don't know. I think it will be interesting. For ultimately your question about off season and just things happening there, I don't like it.
Stuff's gonna naturally
because of
happen
two
there anyway.
reasons, right? Like sometimes it's still hard to, you know, if you want to make a change, to have your hands tied for the rest of the season. It's just such a shitty position to be in. You're not allowed to have a 6-man roster. So if you were allowed to have an extra 1 or 2 players on the roster, I could be down with it, because then at least you can swap.
6-man roster, aren't you?
No.
What do you what do you mean by 6-man roster?
So you couldn't play with like. You could, if you wanted, when you're signing up for these events, you can have subs, right? But the whole reason that we lost Nevera to Valorant for a little while is because when we're leading into that major, right? They changed the rules so you couldn't be changing players per map or whatever, right?
Sure.
Per match, from match to match. It
Yeah.
can be like, this is your locked.
Once you make the change, it's locked
It's
in.
yeah.
So then, like, I get what Yanko's saying. Like,
Sure.
you could have more players on your bench, and then if it doesn't work out, you bring in one of them. But at the same time, it's like that guy's on ice for the entire time. He's not playing any matches or anything. So it's also diminishing returns in that sense.
Well, I think about it in this way. I think having a designated off season where all focus is just attached to that kind of stuff is kind of cool. I think it makes for fun content in the off season. I think too, it takes away a lot of the incentive for nefarious behavior that we've kind of seen, like having those roster changes that interact with matches. The twist one is the obvious easy example, but there's plenty of them every season in which roster changes can make it so a player benefits.
We had the
from actually-
Monacy one earlier in the year.
Yeah, the Monacy one. And then I mean, I think also it just makes it. I think it makes it easier for everyone involved in terms of tracking where this is going to be, in terms of when you're able to make these kind of conversations happen. And I had one. Give me a second. Hang on. And also the contracts that are signed. And also there is like a little bit of a buffer period before we would enact these things, because we could say like the things are already set in place. This is coming 2 years down the road, right? Like we're not going to fuck with the current calendar that we have already set, as you guys are saying, where there's like a 2-year lead in time. But in 2 years, we're going to start having an off season. Wouldn't that give you the lead in time to prepare for the change?
I don't think it can happen unless that we do franchise. I don't think it's possible. I think there's just too many things going on, Jason. Like,
do you think it would motivate teams when you, to your point, if I was going to attack your point of like, it sucks being caught in a season where you have a player that you don't think is good enough to get you to where you need to be, don't you think that would increase how much you look into players? It could actually increase the quality.
No, because here's the other thing, right? Like in the sense of these players, let's say you have a player on your roster, right? And Yanko comes knocking and he wants to buy him. And Yanko's a bigger org. Are you going to say bad things about your player? You going to be honest to Yanko about your player?
No, but if I'm Yanko, what I would be happy about is that I have
that you're getting lied to?
I have but I have a point in the calendar that I can plan for. I can say I need to be gearing up for this point.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, to that point, what happened to Yanko was when we want to make changes after the Berlin major, right? One of the positions we obviously looked at was to get an IGL, right? And we talked to some of the teammates of Alexi B at the time and different people from here and there, and what we heard was some things that we didn't like necessarily at the time. Nothing too crazy. It's not like I'm here smearing Alexi B. It's just like something that reminded us of some bad experiences that we already had. We didn't go down the same route, right? In hindsight, if we got him at the time, right, him and Brokey, let's say, instead of him and Cold, and he was the IGL, and could have turned out really well, right? So it's always what you're saying is like where you do more of your due diligence. You can only do so much unless you know the guy.
Right.
Like the people you talk to, that's Chad's point. They might be lying a little bit, or if they don't want to, or they want to sell the player, this guy's, incredible. It's going to cost you guys a lot of money, whatever. And even if you talk to some of the teammates that you're good, like everyone has a different perspective on the guy. You can have, between us three are on the same team. You might love Chad, I might hate Chad, right? Like it just depends how people get along and whether they see the game the same way and whatnot. So it's always difficult to go through that part. Yes, as we progress and get more professional, you'll have more info. People will just be more professional coming in because they're going through academy teams and everything, and they will understand that this is, a profession. You need to you can't just like play depending on your mood on the day and all of that shit.
I think this is where I'm like, I think players would love this too. Like when you're saying like, we go into, like, if you think about it, like you just said, this is an offhand comment, but like if we're going into this offseason, we want an IGL. Who knows how many have been poached up that you could have enjoyed over the past 4 months?
You're saying who's available.
Or there's at least a fight to get who you want, right? And obviously for players, they're going to love it because it drives their value up and their cost up because there's a little bit of a bidding war.
But what's the angle that you're trying to achieve here, right? So let's reverse
what is it
engineer
the thing,
this.
actually better, what is it that annoys you about the current situation the most outside of the conflict of interest that you mentioned? Which doesn't,
I was going to say, let's not say conflict of interest like it's like no big deal.
No, it is a big deal, but I think there's an easier solution to that
mean.
problem than having a transfer window.
I think the transfer window also organizes the scene and structures in a way that's a little bit better. I think it aligns.
You're just
the
a
scene
fucking
little bit
control
more.
freak, Jason. Like, you're Monica. You're just, everything has to be clean all the
Guys,
time.
You have worked with me
Like-
for over a fucking decade. You're gonna sit here and call me a control freak?
No, but okay,
I mean,
so
you
You're
know,
gonna sit here and call me a control freak?
I like
Really,
things-
Yanko? That's how you're gonna portray me to the fucking audience after 10 years of working together?
I'm sorry, Jason. You are and have always
fucking
been an
Christ.
alcoholic. That's a much better bit.
All right, yeah, much better.
No,
Perfect.
But I mean, it's just like, I don't know, doing it for. I like it this way because teams don't want to. You don't want to change. You want it to work,
Sure.
right? And when you do feel like you need to make a change, you want to do it at the transfer period, right? Like, you want to do it when there's an off season, so you can practice with the new guy, so you get time to introduce him. You don't want to make changes mid-season for the most part, right? Like,
Unless
who
you
wants
have to.
Yeah.
Well, unless you really have to,
Yeah.
and if you have to, or feel like you have to. You should be able to
Yeah.
if you can find a player that you like, if you can negotiate a price that works for both parties, if the player wants to come. What's
What
the
about
problem?
franchise players? Maybe CGS got something
Yeah,
right.
you pay one guy more in the team. That doesn't
and
create
then he can't get
any
traded
frictions at
until
all.
The end of his... well, it's already fucking happened.
You know, Brazilians actually did get paid all the same for a while. Everyone on the team.
Yeah, oh, fair enough.
That's
that
ridiculous.
happened
That's
for
so
a while
stupid.
though with every team though, didn't it?
That's
Wasn't
so
the Polish
stupid.
were that way in the old VP.
I mean,
no?
maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. But
I
that's
was
like,
that way.
Everyone
Like,
is that way until like 2018,
when-
19. I feel like that's
when
started to
Liquid
change.
when Liquid wanted Vox to be the European version of Liquid.
What a fucking timeline that is.
Liquid
I'd
EU.
love to see that multiverse.
When they wanted that, when they
Chad
came,
and Elish could have been teammates.
Ooh.
No, because Chad would have been so good on the EU team. They're like, we gotta get this guy
Yeah,
to
for
IGL.
sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Nitro could have still been a star player. Jason didn't have to switch to IGL.
Fuck yeah.
He would got fucking Stewie under control.
dude,
Old Chad, I'll tell you that.
Kusta is the best offer in this world. He's the
Under
fucking
Chad?
shit. All right, go
Hell,
on,
how many
Chad.
of those you?
Shit,
had?
this guy
No, I
could
was
make
just gonna
fucking
say,
havoc work.
because me,
Well.
Luke, and Yam all had like jobs, and there was Justin and Azza, and they were both studying, so they wanted to pay those two less and us three more because we had jobs that we had to supplement,
Sure.
and they were students. And I
Yeah,
was like, no, we should all get paid the same. So, but anyway, we went with Renegades, and I got scammed. So
That's what you get for fucking.
yeah. No, the problem with the Liquid one was we wouldn't have been out. You two all like they all kind of two
Right,
teams
right,
in any event, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't have been able to play the major or anything, right? So it would have caught. Well, I don't think after that. Anyway, depressing times. Yeah, no, Jason, it's a good attempt, mate, but we'll shelve that idea.
No, I think the idea is good. I think there's.
I bet you do.
think
It's
there's
your
like-
idea.
It's not my idea. It's been out there for a while. I just feel like it
I
was
don't know, I
time
never
to
heard
have the
anyone mention
conversation.
it until you said it right now.
Still think it's a good idea.
I suppose that a team that did make a roster change. I spoke to Hypex today.
All right.
The AWPA now for Gamer League.
Third one this year.
Yeah, he's
Fourth one, actually.
He's just
Okay,
got
cool,
a British
understand.
accent. He's been living in the UK for like 14 years. He's 21, so he spent 7 years of his life in Poland and the last 14 in the UK. And I just spoke to him.
So he's British player.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like the way I don't.
Okay.
I think he definitely would prefer the Polish flag. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But you know, just listening, I was asking him if he's going to be talking shit like a British player would and all this kind of stuff. So he seemed like a good kid. Be interested to see him in the server, but. This group's kind of all over the place now. I can't believe we lost 2 teams today. Like Lynn Vision one, okay, they didn't get visas. Okay, that kind of hurts. But then the VP one, was like, what? Wait, they got detained and then they got turned away at the border. It's like, okay, holy shit. I understand there's a lot of tension at the moment in the world. Don't get me wrong, and I understand why anybody from Russia is going to be under extra scrutiny, especially in the Nords.
Yes.
So I don't understand the intricacies of necessarily what's happening in particular right now, but I do know there are tensions. So to hear that happen is not hugely surprising, but still, the thing is for us, we don't really conflate the politics with the Counter-Strike player. Right, it obviously happened back when VP had to be outsiders for that period of time, and we weren't putting.
Those were for business purposes, though, right?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of sanctioning going on at that time and stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that we lose VP and we lose Lynn Vision today, and then we get Gentlemates and we get ENCE, who are both at the same LAN.
And both gonna dip out.
Well, ENCE helped out Liquid, who are now projected to be above FaZe.
Gonna be stage 2.
Well, it's weird though. Right?
What?
Isn't it? None of us know the answer to this, so I'm just gonna throw this out.
Maybe
there.
we do, Jason. Maybe you just don't know the answer.
about-
I've been doing my research lately on the VRS.
Okay, it's about the details
Udnud
of how
and
our
Mischief
roster
have helped.
operates in the VRS.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Did you read that fucking tweet
Yeah,
you put out?
Elish
Did you read
needs to
that novel?
play. He needs to play 5
5 games. Like,
yeah.
how are you gonna? Now you just forfeited one.
No, this counts.
Does that count?
It's a win.
Yeah, liquid
It counts?
Yeah, that's a
as
win.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Now we're done.
Yeah.
So we both know, and you're the only one who doesn't know.
So the reason
So
it's
think
not
twice
point- we don't
before you
need to-
put us into
we
the
don't
same
need-
bucket,
You don't need to
Jason.
point those things out on this podcast. It's not that.
That's
kind
my
of
favorite
podcast.
thing.
No, but I think there when you look at it, right, because they'd already played a match or whatever, it's the same as the Gentlemates thing, because they're already in the tournament. Like if you're forfeiting matches that you're meant to be playing, right? So the other team is getting a win, because I think something happened earlier in the year with the VRS. Because remember, teams were forfeiting tournaments and they just weren't playing games, and they were like, well, we're going to lose points, so we're not going to play, right? And then the rule changed.
Well, I mean, Gentlemates were not the first in line to get invited to Pro League after Lynn Vision.
Who was it?
It was like 3 or 4 teams that declined.
Really?
Fnatic,
Yeah.
NIP. I think it's in the
Birch Cup
in the HLTV news article
sorry.
or whatever. It's because these teams like will lose out more on attending Pro League if they lose any games. And I don't imagine Fnatic has the confidence that they will go 3-0 or 3-1. If they did that, they would probably gain some, right? But
Isn't
it's still a risk
Gentlemates-
because only stage 1 counts. So
Isn't-
stage 2 and playoffs of Pro League don't count for the major cutoff, and its event weight because of it is only like 1/6 or 1/5 of what it's supposed to be. So it's not like you're not getting the full benefit of playing stage 1, right? Like it's only partial.
Hopefully that changes in the future. I think that does change in the
Yeah.
future, right? But I'm not sure, right, why these teams made this choice. So we'll see how it comes out in the wash.
Didn't it impact Gentlemates negatively in terms of their VRS?
It looks like it.
And this is
They
where I
would
would
have
imagine
had like a very slim chance, regardless, if I'm not mistaken. Even if they stuck at
It wasn't going to be easy
wasn't
for
gonna be
them.
great
It wasn't going to
anyways.
be easy for
I think
them.
they were looking at it more as the opportunity is being exposed to a higher level of competition and a bigger audience versus the opportunity to actually qualify.
well, not even an audience. It's like they are maybe making peace with their major chances, but it's like, listen, if we can go on a run at Pro League, we will accrue a lot more points that
next year,
won't count for this major, but will count towards the next invite cycle. We just need to get in that bubble because, again, like we said many times, it seems like those teams that are in the top 10 to 16, like
You pay
18,
into
once
the
you get
world,
into
yeah.
that, it gets much easier to stay in that range.
Gomez made a tweet because Lynn Vision was a regional team that got replaced.
Yeah.
He made a tweet being like, "Well, how come we didn't get invited?" I don't know how Lynn Vision qualified. Did they win?
Well,
did
I
they
think-
win a regional
I think
qualifier?
in the ESL's tweet they quoted the rule
Yeah.
and what it says. I don't know what exactly the rule
Ah.
is or what it says, but it's in the rule book why it
went
was the
to
next
that way.
team.
Yeah, look, I think the thing is, I understand why Gomez is wanting to play because they bombed out of that Draculan event,
Oh
right?
my
So-
god, bro, what's going on, Chad?
well, I think
What's going on over there?
I don't want to make any excuses for them, right? I definitely don't want to do that. I
You have
think
to though.
No, but I think that there's a bit of hard truth, right, with all of this, because I saw someone make a tweet, and it's like, yeah, you see it at these events that like these teams who you expect to be good aren't as good, and like the way that they were doing it was quite venomous. The way that I think is similar, but without the venom, because if you are one of these teams like a Flyquest, for example, who were like probably at the point they were getting the invites, they're probably like around 20 to 30 in the world, right? They're going into these events time and time again, and they're playing against some of the highest and best teams in the world, and they're getting maybe like 7 or 8 rounds, and it's like, oh man, if they just didn't lose that 4 spy, or if Justin won that 1v2, maybe they could have taken a map, right? Realistically, this level of competition is showing more the level that they're really at, in my opinion, right?
Sure.
Or the amount of work that needs to be done if they think that they really are a top 30 team in the world, right? Because I don't want to sit here and say, that the teams they're playing against are dog shit. Then they're not dog shit. They're just not tier 1 teams, right? Like losing to Gen 1, which has just formed with Masuda, MBK. Well, not the
Yep.
Org. The Org's been around for a
Yeah,
while. MBK, Jocko, they got Chucky guy in there, right? So losing to those guys, that's a tough loss, right? Because that
The
team kind of
Basement
just formed.
boys.
Yeah, but the Basement Boys that beat Passion.
Yeah, I
they beat
know.
Passion, which is complexity essentially,
Complexity, yeah.
right? So that one right there, Flyquest actually took them out, whereas Passion didn't. And Flyquest probably, but this is the thing. I watched their games intently, and like against Gen 1, they win the pistol, they lose the 4 spy, right? And it's just like these things happening. You're going to get punished. Like you need to be able to win those type of rounds. And I know that it's different when you're playing tier 1. You're playing against the same teams. You understand there's a certain level of counter Counter-Strike that's going to be played. But at this level of CS, every type of Counter-Strike is going to be played. People will take more risks. People are going to make more plays. And it's just, it's not good enough, is it?
What
right?
gets exposed is bad fundamentals and lack of protocols, lack of structure, right, lack of solutions, because I think, and that's happening a lot in tier 1/1.5 Counter-Strike, is like you're so focused on the details, the advanced stuff, like everyone's like going to step 5 immediately instead of going step 1, step 2 and everything, and making sure that you cover the basics. You know, it feels like nowadays in MR12, man, as long as you don't lose the force buy and don't lose to ecos, right, like something like that, like you have a very high chance of winning the game.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're really god awful in gun rounds, or you know, you lose both pistols and have multiple clutches go against you, like sure, in those situations it's going to be tough to win games, but you see more teams lose games than win them, I feel like.
Sure, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
And sure, there's forced errors, but there's also unforced errors that happen because teams aren't thinking about the fundamentals. You know you're playing against a half buy or a very bad force on Dust 2 as CT, and you open 4A. Why? Why do you open 4A? Why do you need to? If you can't hold long with 3 guys against pistols, like that's your problem. Or don't play for long.
Yeah.
Like they have limited utility. If they spend a lot of it early to take long, how are they going to take the site, right? Meanwhile, if they just decide to go for a fast B
pop,
execute,
you lose
like
the
that
round.
guy can't kill more than 2 guys probably,
yeah.
right? And then it's a 4v3 retake in B. What's the win percentage for that? Sure, you can say it's even 60-40 for the CTs with good utility.
Still
but do you
hard.
want to be in that situation just because you wanted to have 4 guys on fucking A at the start?
Yeah, you know you're sending
Right?
a guy
Like-
through doors or window is going to die. You have to trade in.
It's like all this shit that I don't get. And people will say, yeah, but you can't always play this, you want to, yeah, but no, not in those rounds. You don't need to be, cheeky and super smart in those rounds. Or make them come up with something that's going to outplay you. With a buy like that, with a disadvantage that they have coming out of freeze time, make them do it the hard way. This way, you're leaving the easy play open for them. And you're just sort of, who's going to do that? They don't expect us to do this. And then they do the simple play and you're fucked. Congrats, Einstein. Now you don't have money for the next 5 rounds of the CT side.
Dude, there were so many stressful rounds watching. There was like rounds where they would they would win a gun round, and then it would they would essentially put the other team on money break, right? So it's like they've maybe got 2 M4s, an MP9, and a couple Deagles or some shit, and then they lose to that, and it's like, but you could have just broken them. That round was worth 2, and then they win on their low buy back with like 2 AKs and Deck 9s, and it's like, okay, cool, you got it where you want them again. Now you just have to win this one, and then it's gonna. And they just couldn't get across the line in a lot of those. And I didn't get to watch the end of the series because I was on the plane on the way here. I got to watch the first map of what was the first map that they played? They brought it back. They picked Mirage.
Dust 2?
Dust 2 was 3rd versus Gen 1. The problem that I think
Gen
fucked
1.
them was they played
Ancient.
I'm
was
not
first. Ancient Inferno Dust.
Ancient Inferno Dust. Who was that against?
Gen 1.
Nah. There was Overpass. I'm pretty sure it was Mirage Overpass Dust 2.
I can handle this.
I think for some reason I just saw it before I came in here.
You might be right.
Mirage Overpass Dust 2.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
I watched the different series.
they owned Metasport, right? They lost the opening game to Basement Boys, where the Basement Boys picked Train against them because they changed their ban. They're now banning Nuke, which is fair enough. They had lost like 10 nukes in a row or some shit, right? So I don't hate the fact that they changed their veto. And then the game that I think spent their energy on the day they lost to Gen 1, that's not an excuse for
Sinners.
them. The Sinners game, right? I think they played quad OT on the first map that they ended up losing.
25-21 for
right?
Sinners,
and then they bounced back, and then I think after
13-2,
that,
16-13.
yeah, they won the opponent's map choice, and then
Decider in overtime.
yeah. So I think and there are no excuses for them, right? Like the thing is, my expectation is they should be taking care of these teams.
It's also, the problem is also a couple of things. Like you said, some of these teams are getting exposed, right? Like if you had to play, and I always used to say this, if tier 1 teams had to qualify for everything and play online qualifiers, there would be one top 5 team not make it every single time, right? Like it's just grueling to play against teams that are fully unknown, and it's not easy to play against teams that don't play the usual way, right? Because Counter-Strike, a lot of it is because of the lack of information, right? A lot of it is educated guessing all the time. And when you play against someone who you're not sure how they think or whether they think at all, right? It's harder to make those educated guesses. So you're sort of just kind of sitting there half of the time, right? Like sometimes you make moves that are unnecessary and turn out bad or whatever, right? And the other thing is, I don't know how much it plays to there's a lot of info on Flyquest. I mean, regardless, and on these teams, there's nothing out there.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'd say it points at discipline more than it points at fundamentals, although I'm not saying that to be contrarian. I think it amounts to the same thing, but I think a team like Flyquest, when they play a team like Vitality, I think they'll have good fundamentals because mentally they're all focused on it, right?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're not focused when they're playing this event, right? There's a lot on the line, and I think for Flyquest, when they looked at these Mongolian and Chinese lands that popped up, right, that were just there to manufacture. No, they thought, well, like we're gonna get fucked over. What events can we play, right? And the problem is they go to these events, the big boy events, and they don't win because they're playing against really good teams, right? And like you're not earning any points. Yep. So you're just kind of trading water. You have to play these smaller events. They go to this one, and they end up winning 2, losing 2, and they're out. And look, I think if they had gotten through yesterday, if they'd beaten Gen 1, I think that would have been the perfect character-building set of wins, even though it's not against great teams. Yeah. It's a grueling day. You did it as the team. Aaron's there as the coach. It would have been a good mental boon for them. I don't know how they're going to be feeling after this.
It's also interesting what you're saying. That's the other point that I wanted to make. One thing is how much pressure is there on them in this game. You know, like... Coming into the setup is not what you're used to. You know, you need to get some wins, all of that stuff. Maybe it's a factor. But another thing is, and I remember talking about this when we were talking about NIP like 2-3 years ago, when they were really sucking. It was just easy to pile on them. And I remember saying they should start playing CCT tournaments online just to beat anyone, right?
Yeah,
like because they're a bad team for Tier 1 Counter-Strike, but they're not. They're a top 20 team, like top 15 team. You know, if they play a team that's 28th in the world, they're going to stomp them 2-0. So, and it's tough sometimes for players when all you do is lose. Sure, you're losing to number 1, number 3, whatever, but you're still losing games, right? It's hard to feel confident when you don't have any wins behind you. You don't remember the feeling of winning, right? And it's hard to have confidence when you have very little in the ways of winning. So, that's what maybe for I'm not saying that this was it or the opportunity, but like for some of these teams, it might be a good thing to not take a step down, but like play more games, right?
Yeah.
And against this sort of opposition, which of course now in the current VRS is actually very risky, and you're better off skipping events than playing them and God forbid lose a couple of games.
Yeah, that's the thing though, right? You hate that that's kind of the way it's structured, but you can see at this point when push comes to shove, teams have to play, and then you lose. That's the way she goes, right? I think there's a lot of gamesmanship. No, it is good, but what Yanko's saying is there's certain tournaments where teams won't go because they don't want to risk points, right? So I think that there has to be a balance between picking and choosing what events you want to go to because you want to peak for a certain event, so you want to prac during this one. But then there's also where you have to be like a Fnatic or an NIP or whoever, and you have to play every event under the sun because you need to get these points right. So this is all the conversation is: point this, point that, fucking point the finger. Jesus Christ, like. It's just at the moment. This is what I'm talking about. It's so hard to keep track. We have so many events going on. Like, it's insane, right? Like this is
the match page on HLTV is like never ending.
It's bonkers, and then you've got all the online stuff as well. Like we're just looking at these smaller LAN events for the moment, and like I'm not saying this like it's a bad thing. I'm saying this like it's a good thing, but it's exhausting to keep up with. Like this is like the March Madness. This is why people like the RMRs.
Well, yeah, but maybe this is the new norm, right? Because of the no RMR now, it's just all going to be about the invite deadline for the majors, and now that's going to be something we'll come to expect. All right, the crazy season is coming. These 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the major cutoff, we're just going to have, there's an event in fucking Brisbane. There's an event in Singapore. There's an event in Phnom Penh. You know, I don't know, wherever the fuck, hundreds of events, and you're just like trying to make it or just going from event to event.
The OG story will be the crazy one, right? Because they're like Draculan, and then they've got...
They got wrecked at Star, not wrecked, but at Starlighter they got 0 wins, and they had that big.
But they're playing all 3.
They dropped.
There's like a couple of teams who are playing like 2 or 3 like
so
events.
This is going to be the next point. Bring it up. This is to your point about how, or one of your point about how the VRS shit has gotten so ingrained into everything, and all the Twitter personalities that get famous being the deep dive nerds onto the stats. After all this EPL shakeup, OG's original percentage to win before teams dropped out and rejoined original percentage to qualify to the major was 4.7%. It's now 15.37%.
Yeah, and I think like
so it's still a tough task, but I mean, like, there's so many changes like that. Like VP went from 86.9%. This is due to Mischief Finn on Twitter. 86.9% before the changes to Pro League to make the major, to now 24%.
Well, yeah, because even if they just got some land wins against like Rooster and shit, it would have helped out.
Yeah, but look at their roller coaster emotional, right? Like they were kind of in the dumps before Fissure, then all of a sudden they make a run. Now they're in contention again. Maybe they get a little bit optimistic about their chances, and now it gets shut down again. To be honest, I think that team is dead. I don't see like the level of Counter-Strike that they're playing with the players that they have. In terms, what I mean by that is experienced players who won before. Like Fame, Flit, and Perfecto are major winning players.
True.
Right? There's no way they don't see how bad they're playing, right? And that they don't see where the flaws are in their game. So that only tells me that they don't care enough necessarily to fix them properly or to work. I don't know, right? But it feels like, to me, it feels like Fame and Flit just want out of that organization. I don't know, because there's been so much has changed, so many problems. None of it has been working out. They haven't had consistency for ages. I think they might as well be back in Paravision. They might be back with Dustin and James after this season and go back to Paravision and just like go for, something familiar. Right?
Yeah.
Go back to Daddy and just play the same old boring Counter-Strike, but under someone you know.
I'm with you. They feel like a dead team walking, don't they, VP? Like, I don't know what the future is.
I'm sad that they were denied entry to the country based on likely.
But if there is anyone, you're fine with being replaced.
It's VP.
It's like the Counter-Strike they play is boring. And like.
We have an IGL that hasn't played in over a year.
But I don't
if you think about it for VP at this point,
still
it's
boring.
just like your IGL hasn't. No, I'm not defending. I'm just saying you have an IGL that hasn't played in a year. How has your org gotten to this point?
That's of their own making. Everything is of their own making.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with that point. I'm just saying it's crazy to me that a team like VP has an IGL who just came back from a year-long break.
Jason, this is an organization that's going to complain to a tournament organizer about commentators.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking bitchly.
So, I got to go get some water, gentlemen. So I'll be right back. Do I need to take that card or will the door open?
You should probably take the card.
Is it this one here?
Or leave the door open.
I'll leave the door open.
The two.
All right, go back.
We did rent a conference room for this episode. I feel like a baller right now.
Yeah, man, this is like if this was a chance, it's just 50 euros. You get it for 3 hours, and you get an extra hour to set up in it. So that's a bargain, and it's way better than the hotel room that we have. Jesus Christ, it's depressing. It's so tiny, and I don't even have the tiniest one like Frank has. I have a bigger bathroom than you.
Sure.
I have a closet.
Sure.
Like, I mean,
must be
also
nice.
small ones,
Yeah.
but that's it. I got in late, but I still had to unpack my suitcase because I have nowhere to leave it open.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. Scandinavian hotels.
What
man.
else changed? It's crazy on this whole EPL teams that are coming here. BetBoom went from 14.5% to 40%.
It's because they made the playoffs of Landalan, and it has a big prize pool. So if they can win that, it will really increase their chances. But a lot of this depends on the other teams. Heroic, how likely is it that they will have a good run here at stage 1?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, now they play Gentlemates in the first game, I think. But yeah, it's some of those spots.
Let's actually move in. So when Chad gets back, we're talking about EPL.
EPL, or you want to talk about end of Fissure first?
You can hit end of Fissure. You were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were casting. You have the goods. I'll be honest with you. At the end of Fissure, I was traveling.
No,
here
it's
to
fine.
Stockholm, so
I just think we can just talk broad points. We don't have to get into the details. I think some of the more interesting things for me were the way Team Liquid played was fun because they just played fast all the time. Man. They were just running around on T side, trying to end rounds in like 30, 45 seconds, right? They were very aggressive on CT, always doing something, moving. And, it's not a way that you can really play all the time, but for the situation in which they were in, it was a smart way to go about it. And what I really loved about it, they placed Mongolz in the semis. First map, Dust 2, Liquid's pick. They played that way the whole half. They got crushed.
I know. I was listening to that game. Yeah.
And then they went into the second map, and they kept doing the same.
Did the same thing, and
now it worked better because they had a better start. They were playing from ahead and everything. And then on Ancient, a couple of rounds, key rounds didn't really go their way, and it's much more difficult to do that playing for behind. But they got the job done in terms of getting the points that they needed now to be guaranteed at the major. Might even be in stage 2.
That was a nice gift from Twist on the way out. Was get him qualified for the major. He played really well during that battle, so he was actually sick. That was the one emotion, like I couldn't reconcile that emotion of being like, I mean, who knows if they could.
Where was this?
Yeah, or like look at like once your mind is like figured out, like once your mind is, the rumors of Twist going to a different team all through his tenure in the second stint in Liquid were there the whole way through. But like once your mind is like realized like the decision's been made, all you have to do now is focus on the Counter-Strike, look at what you can accomplish. And that's where it's a little bit frustrating. And not targeted at Twist or anything in general. It's just like, man, this team could have been something cool. Although I'll tell you this, I think, especially based off Fissure, I actually think Liquid is in a better place after this trade than FaZe is. We don't have to go down that road at the moment. We'll probably talk about that at some point during EPL as we'll see them.
We'll see who the fuck FaZe is going to play.
Yeah, we'll see what the fuck FaZe is going to happen. No one knows.
And the problem is, like, I don't know how no one knows because they ought to be practicing. So you'd know who you're practicing against.
I have to imagine, you're right. I was going to say, I have to imagine at this point,
people
players
saying,
have pretty tight lips.
It's a fake Steam account or whatever, bro, like... Yeah. In which position he's playing, by the style, you can tell that that's not Rain, right?
Yeah.
Like, or that's not Jacob.
Yeah, you can see style in POVs for sure. What else happened at the end of Fissure?
Furia won.
I know that. Yeah,
that was huge. G2 Mongolz was the first quarter, like the 10 a.m. game on a Friday. That was like the biggest matchup. Really, it felt like. Mongolz just come in, and we need to get. Well, we did talk about this the last episode a little bit, right? Yeah, we did. The Mongolz not practicing even before this NCWC, but yeah, I mean they made it to the final. They were very comfortable. They seemed super confident. I didn't catch the first maps of the final, so I'm not really sure what happened on like Mirage. I saw that Blitz didn't have the best of games and whatnot, but it felt a little bit disappointing that they didn't win. But I think in the end, I got the feeling it was more Furia stepping up than it was Mongolz choking it. I didn't feel like Mongolz were choking it.
I saw a clip of the Furia comms.
Oh, Nuke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I mean, that's an isolated one-round example, but like it was so good. I was so impressed.
Talking about
that was against Falcons.
Fissure playoffs, Chad.
Yeah. No, that was against Falcons, right?
I think so.
Outside
in like garage. Yeah,
so Yakinder gets passed, and then like he's there, and the guy it was against Astralis because it was Device, and then Yakinder's sitting there and says to Fallen like, "What do you want me to do?" Right? Because Fallen can obviously see the whole picture from that. That was a really good clip. I enjoyed that.
And I think what impressed me the most was like he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave the Opera. I'm gonna go flank Heaven." And then he didn't need to update anyone until he was in a position to do something. Like no one was sitting there like, "Hey guys, I have a chance to make a play. I'm gonna go." Like everyone was just like waiting for Yakinder to do it.
Yeah, Fallen's just going smoke main. Right, go now. Yeah.
I was laughing because Nico gave an interview after like the groups or the quarterfinals, and one of the things he said was, I think Furia is our biggest opponent in this tournament. And I was like on the broadcast saying, I don't know, man. These Mongolz guys are pretty good, number one ranked. They were like beating everyone on the way. And in the end, Furia beats them in the final. So maybe he was on to something, a little rascal. But I think definitely great to see them, man. What a payoff for the Molodoi Yakinder addition. They were the highest rated players too. Just in general, like you have to give them props. Like they were getting a lot of flack for it at the time. It's not easy for a Brazilian org to go international.
Because Caserado wouldn't go international, so they brought international to him.
But in the end, took a risk, fucking paid off big time.
But you also took the right risk. You took a risk out of at least a player who had shown you what his level is and was going through a slump. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say because Molotov.
Molotov is a huge.
You never know what's going to pay off, especially with all these AWPers. You see people giving a crack at the moment that don't land. Like the thing is, we can do particular Fissure conversation if you want, but for me, it's kind of the landscape and the lay of the land right now is super interesting, right? I already thought before this win from Furia that they were one of the more exciting teams on the circuit at the time. Now, I'm going to miss somebody here because I'm trying to keep all this information in my head at all times. I apologize to the Aurora fans before I do it.
Bro, they choked the fuck out of their game. It was the good
liquid,
old,
right?
It was the good old Chocarino.
We called it.
It was kind of sad to see because they had their, some of their families there and everything. And you can tell Major, it mattered a lot to Major, but honestly, it was just like, okay, now, you're just going to disappear again once it comes to the playoffs.
Zantares told us it was coming. He put it out there on a billboard.
There it is, like, Jason Yu.
He had a shit game as well. Shocking.
Yeah. Well.
You were saying, Chad?
Anyway, before my inbox is full again for something I didn't say. It's the scene right now is in a really interesting place. So we still have the trifecta of Vitality, Spirit, and Mouse. Regardless of the fact that I wouldn't buy any Mouse stock if you said it was going for free.
Why is Mouse in that conversation?
Because they're still going to be a top 5 team.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I'm looking at the landscape right now.
But does that make them a contender team?
If they get the right opponent, they could beat some of the teams in the final. I don't think they beat all the teams in the final. But I don't think they beat Spirit. I don't think they beat Vitality. But I feel like they could beat Furia. They could beat G2, right? But that's it. It's going to be matchup specific.
What about the Mongolz? Why are you not mentioning the Mongolz?
Well, hold up. The Mongolz are one of those teams, right? So I think that the Mongolz are showing some of their inexperience as well, which people might go, inexperience? This is like their third final. It's like, yeah, this is their third final.
Exactly.
For all of them, right? Got you with your own logic.
I think also experience on a meta level of not being used to performing event to event to event as the favorites going this deep. That's probably the biggest inexperience I think they're hurting with, which is where it comes back to the not practicing Cologne.
I heard Yaga talking about this on broadcast, so I'm curious about this. Do you know if they went home or if they stayed after Fissure?
I think they went home.
Well, then now I'm perplexed as hell because when I was listening to you talk about it, right, I was understanding the framing when you were speaking with Dinko. It's like, Cologne, it's Cologne. Why are you not practicing for Cologne? Or it's like this one. Why are you not practicing? If they're going back to Mongolia every time, I can understand why they're not like practicing in the sense of it's going to be hard to keep the required level. In the terms of, maybe jumping in a server and doing some theory or adding some executes or stuff like that, and watching some demos, I feel like that's something they should be doing if they're going back home, but expecting them to get decent gameplay, that's not going to happen, right? I understand that plight better than most. So I understand why and they're one of the best teams in the world. So on their level is on steroids. So I understand why not wanting to practice in Mongolia, but then why aren't you facilitating yourself to be in a position where you can be overseas more? Now, maybe the question is Schengen days, but I know a boot camp space that people can go to that won't take any of those.
They come usually to our place, and they were there the summer one time, I think maybe before EWC, and they're supposed to come before the major too. So I imagine if they wanted to stay somewhere, they would have reached out.
It's just weird that, right, so for the Fissure one, maybe it's not a huge priority because they are qualified for the major. That's not going to be a question, right? But I'm just curious about what their goal is. Is their goal like, okay, we'll just go to every event and we're fine with playoffs, right? We're fine with playoffs, top fours. We're fine with that. Or is their goal to let's try and win everything? And if their goal is let's try and win everything, then I'm on board with your sentiment of why aren't they practicing? And then you could argue, like I said, well, if they go home, well, then don't go home, right? And it's like, well, people, that's not fair. They have to go home. I've been saying this for years, guys. If you've been missing the dialogue about me calling North American teams bitches, you've missed it, right? This is the thing. If you want to be the best, we know that it's very difficult to do so. And the fact that Mongolia has a Counter-Strike team that's so good based off of what they've been doing, that's already miraculous within itself. So Mongolz, back to the big picture conversation, are in that chat, right? Of course. So you got your Vitality, you've got your Spirit, you got your Mongolz, you've got your Mouse, you got your G2, you got your Fury. That's 6 teams, right, that I have there. And then teams who are outside of that, I would put Aurora next, but not trophy level, right? But they're next in that list. But then after them, I have 2 names who are contenders for playoffs and potentially okay runs, one being Falcons, but it's unrealized potential, right? We haven't seen them do it to the extent that their expectation is there. And then the other one, and I kind of hate myself for doing this, but it's Na'Vi, and Na'Vi's is if their opponents
Oh,
are
I
having.
hate you for doing that.
But it's if they're
actually,
having
so-
a bad day. But both those teams require their opponents not to be playing their A game to win, because both those teams haven't shown they can play their A game. And then you could put FaZe just outside that.
Fucking phase.
The VP of this
Fucking
generation.
Yeah, they are. They are. But think that's fucking stacked. Like that list of teams. What did I get? 10 teams.
But you don't need to look further than Spirit won the first 2 tournaments.
Changed roster, of course.
And won with a dead roster. But after that, it was a different winner each time. You had G2 win Blast, you had Mongolz win EWC, now you had Furia win Fissure. We'll see who wins here. Vitality still hasn't won a tournament. Imagine if you told someone after the season that they had, you'd go, 2.5 months, almost 3 months before Vitality would win a tournament. They'd
This is
say,
the problem I
"You're
have."
crazy. What would be the odds for that?
But this is the problem I have, right? So that spread that I've just spoken about, EPL is the only time where you're going to have all of those teams at an event until the major for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be
gonna be
cool
great.
for that.
Okay, so you've let that sink in. You've opened the door. That basin slid in.
Sure.
How important is this event, though?
I mean, it depends on the scale you're thinking of. Are you thinking?
Well,
in
it
terms
means
of,
different
like,
things to different teams.
There's
think the
that,
big-
but also cultural impact in terms of the scene, or in terms of VRS impact. In terms
I think
of
the big
VRS
no. I
impact
think the
for
big.
those teams
I think
means
the big.
nothing.
I think it would
Suddenly-
win way more if it had an arena for the playoffs, right? Because in
Okay.
the end,
But what do you mean by mean something in this context?
I think it means like the prestige of the event.
no, mean more to the teams as well. Like you could draw better conclusions from this event for the tier 1 teams if
had
you
an
had an arena playoffs. Because
Sure.
let's say if Vitality comes here and wins this event, means that they'd obviously be happy about it, winning an event again and
Confidence
everything.
resetter.
Right, and I'm not saying they're a team that has problems in the arena, but it's like it's not the same feeling, right? It's just a studio event for them. Like that's not that's
not what you're in it
for
for.
example, someone like Aurora would be fucking ecstatic about winning any sort of an event. Falcons too. Furia to win 2 in a row, G2 to win 2 out of the 3.
See, now we're cooking.
For all these teams, so a lot of these teams are framing it in different ways. For Spirit, they made big changes. If they're able to win an event immediately, Na'Vi, they could somehow win the event. After winning Starlighter 2, all of a sudden, they've also won 2 in a row. Right? Like all these different conversations, Mouse goes without saying they could win any sort of an event.
Yep.
Do you
Right?
think the
So I
Mouse
think it's
one,
that,
though,
but
the Mouse one, just quickly, I feel like that will reinforce the negative thought train in their head. Oh, we are studio
Well,
mentions.
it will in everyone else's head. I don't know about their head in particular.
They
but-
seem pretty stubborn to pull that one.
But
in.
every team has their own storyline, right? And you can go down all of these. For FaZe, they want to try to capture some of that magic again, have some good wins, maybe beat one of the contender teams. If they can do that, this event is a win for them. No matter when it happens. It can happen in the groups, can happen in the playoffs. It doesn't matter, right?
But there's a lot of get out of jail free cards, because on one side you're saying, G2 win another event, right? Just that's great, right? And it would do a lot for their confidence. But they have the get out of jail free card of, well, we're ahead of schedule. We just made this roster.
And also the fact that the major is going to be already set in all of these things. There's not as much pressure on getting a result here.
Yes.
Right. So it's more about the eye test for this event when we get to the stage 2 and the playoffs. Right. It's more about, are Falcons going to look better than they did at the last event? Because they, as Nico said, they were a better team at Fissure and at EWC than they were in Cologne, right? How is G2 going to? Okay, they had their run in Blast. They lost to the Mongolz. No dramas there. Well, they also lost to Furia in the group. So, okay, how far are they going to be along? And therefore, a lot of these things, we haven't seen Vitality and Mouse it's going to be 4 weeks almost since they've played. So they had a lot of time to just practice in there. And in Spirit, I can't remember last time we saw them play online in Bounty. So also for them, almost a month, new lineup. So
I'm excited to see it tonight.
A lot of it is going to be about, okay, how are these teams setting things up? How are they going to look like on the server, and what are you going to be excited about when you see them play?
It's something that I'm interested in. Why you have all like the well, this is the Swiss right now for the opening stage,
What do you
but no, just to think about those teams I mentioned. So as long as we get G2 and Furia from this stage into the next, which feels like it should be a no-brainer considering the field, as long as they get through, and even Astralis to some extent. If this Hypex kid is any good, I could say Gamer Legion to some extent. 3D Max, unfortunately, they don't have Maka here. They've got
Legacy
Vera.
needs to go through. Do Mao and Lato.
Okay, anyway.
Shout out to do my alma mater.
For me,
One time.
it's these teams who are all like somewhat in the conversation for being relatively threatening for the major, right? Getting head-to-heads against each other and seeing like these guys can beat these guys, but they can't beat these guys. And then seeing those flow-on effects from the end of this event within the 2-month span until the major rolls around. Because we'll go to like Thunderpick, which is going to have Furia, Mongolz, Na'Vi maybe. CAC's got FaZe.
Sure.
Then you've got, after that, the Bucharest studio event, which we don't know the teams for that, but I'm pretty sure Aurora and Game Legion are going there. We don't know who else is going yet. It hasn't been announced. But then we know Chengdu has like a lot of the big names, but not all of the big names. And then where's Liquid in all of this? Because they're not going to be at EPL. And like all of this, it's not what everybody thought it was going to be. All the same top teams at all these events. It hasn't been that way. It hasn't been like not all the top teams have been at all the events, and not all the top teams are going to be at all the events for the stretch until the major. So I'm really interested in seeing how everything kind of lines up, because at this point is where after EPL, I would feel I could start making a bit more of a call of who I feel would be the major favorites, because right now the group is wide. The group is very
it's
wide.
not going
to
to
me.
change significantly, surely. Your picks for a favorite of the major?
No, but like if we're getting granular, right? Like I can put in groups and buckets, like that I can do easily. But if I wanted to like kind of really start to look at the X and the O's and see how things are priming, right? This is where I would start to like say, okay, well these guys aren't just one-trick ponies, like G2, for example, right? Like there's more to their game, right? If they have a really good run here and they beat Vitality again, and they beat Spirit, and it's like, oh shit, okay, right? Like now we're starting to see how things really shape up. But if we just get another event where it's like Spirit, Mouse, Mongolz, Vitality in your semis, you're like, well, we just reset to the start of the season again. Like, fuck, like what? Like,
just go back.
It's just weird, and it's fun. It's weird. It's all just all over the place. I think I'm excited because we know that there won't be like when I went and did Dinko and Henry's podcast the other day, and I was making some jokes because everyone was talking about the crowd stuff from what happened in Fissure. I was like, we got all the best teams. There won't be any crowd stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that silly business. Really, it is unadulterated Counter-Strike in the sense that it's not the raw arena experience, which is what is the best. But you're going to get these teams are going to be able to play the game without any.
Just pure Counter-Strike.
Exactly, right. So
Counter-Strike has its place.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch, of course.
Yeah, and well, that's something we didn't talk about here, but I mean, it's fucking ridiculous to the extent that they were doing. And I know people were commenting about different things. I also think there's responsibility on the players to some extent to not use it in a way that, for example, Kixan was using it.
I think laughing about it, like, it doesn't help.
Yeah, it's
cause.
like, and maybe that's, I'm sure also his inexperience of being in that situation, right? Like where you're able to abuse it to that extent probably played a role in it. I think if he was in the same situation tomorrow, he wouldn't act the same way. And the problem is also something that you have at other arena tournaments for these organizers is, for example, you have a different feed for the arena compared to the stream. So you're able to turn X-ray off, for example, only for the in-arena stuff. Well, that wasn't the case here because of how things were set up. So if you were going to turn X-ray off in arena, to prevent some of these things from happening, then you would have turned it off for the people watching at home. And it's almost
more jarring.
It's actually very difficult to keep track of what's going on when you don't have X-ray. So, that was the issue.
That's something I brought up a couple episodes ago about with these new TOs coming into the space. Those are like the learning curves we have to deal with. It's the same thing as like the shit show of the VRS of just like, this is a learning experience. And it circles back to what we said about quality control of the tier 2 circuit. Like these TOs just have to go through it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only way to actually fucking do it. So you're going to get more of those situations like we had at Fissure with kicks and with the crowd interaction, with not being able to handle it appropriately and address it appropriately because they haven't gone through it yet. And there's no way to warn everyone for every eventuality. So,
well, this is the thing.
The crowd also needs to be educated a little bit.
Yeah,
sure.
I guess, but
this is the thing with all this. We're going to have the same conversations about the same problems until we die.
Chad's a pessimist.
No, but we will, because we've already been having the same conversation. How many times in your life have you had the booth conversation?
Too many.
Okay. Do you want to have it again? Because
No, we
that's what,
haven't had
but-
him for ages.
but this is what the Fissure thing reignites, right? You see that dialogue creep back in.
Yeah, we don't have any fire martial laws in Serbia, so
That's
I
right,
can
you guys
put
still
boots
smoke
and boots
inside.
and boots.
You're
Shout out
right.
to- Shout out
He's
to
right.
Serbia. Yeah. Get them players some ashtrays.
No, but that's what some of the stuff, right? And we're joking about it, but I think this is one of the things that in the past I've probably not been the best with. Like I read the dialogue and I go, "Well, we fucking spoke about this," like, and be a bit condescending or whatever. And the reality is, the people who are making these comments are obviously people who haven't seen those things before and haven't been educated or haven't been involved in the conversation when it's happened before. Maybe they've seen it, but they haven't realized that this, that, and the other. And I guess it's our responsibility. Well, it's not our responsibility, I think, but we should take it as our responsibility to try and educate on the reasons as to these things. And touching on stuff like Yanko just did of like the difference of the feeds. That's a big thing, and people probably don't realize.
If you don't have that set up on day 1, then you do not get to set it up on day 12.
Also in-game directing in terms of knowing which POV to show in a flanking situation, right? Like you can just quickly show the player flanking to see, all right, this is about to happen, and you move to the other guy, and when he dies, you know how he died. That's the thing. We're still, I think, significantly behind. Proper observing in terms of storytelling and making it easier for people to understand what's going on. And I have to give props actually to Fissure a little bit when it comes to that, because there were a couple of rounds in there where they were showing like the overview of the bomb site when, for example, a retake. It was a really cool round on Dust 2 in the groups on B. I don't remember who was playing, but I remember pointing it out in the broadcast too, because you got to see everything. You got to see flashes popping, guys coming in, getting the trade or getting the kill, and you saw everything, right? You didn't see it from the POV of the player, but you perfectly saw what happened. You saw it way better than you would in a POV.
First person,
and then in the first person replay, you saw the actual
kills.
couple of kills, which were whatever, it's nothing flashy to show there. And I think for me, there should be a lot more of that.
That's something that on Vertigo, even though Vertigo was a tough map to watch, that's something that could have helped mitigate some of the problems of Vertigo, because you're just in smokes all the time. If they had done those cams, people would have had a better context. I think something that I would like to see TOs bring in more is pip, right? Bring back the pip. Because
also something Fissure was doing and doing it pretty well towards the end.
It's how you implement it. I know you pull that face.
I don't enjoy pips, but I think they're useful in like the off-screen plays, lurk plays.
Exactly, that's what they've been using.
As long as we're not doing it in clutches, I think clutch pip is the worst.
I hate the 1v1 cam as well.
Like if you throw
just
a pip
pick
of a lurk, cool.
Yeah, I think like that's I think a pip is good. Or like, for example, if you're on, like, let's say we go big screen on the guy who's about to enter into the site, and you have the pip of like the execute being set up, or the pip of what the CT defense looks like before the T is about to hit. Viewers will definitely start to con on, and I also think that's good because it elevates the viewers' knowledge base, because they're learning more. First person with X-ray, mate, like you're taking so much for granted, and I think that's one of the problems is you're not respecting what's going on to the level you should be in a game.
That was, I mean, it's always been that way, I think, for Counter-Strike fans. That was the big thing with E-League, was like the reason why Turner ever even greenlit a Counter-Strike league on American television was because the head of the sports department was watching it, and it was described to him. It was literally just someone sitting with him and saying, this is the equivalent of in poker. When poker was on television, it wasn't catching on until they created the under camera cam to show you the cards.
Yeah, because then you're
and
in
he
on
was
it.
like, that's the equivalent. Because now you know what they're playing with. Now you can get inside their mind. Now you can kind of So when he saw the X-ray, he's like, this is stupid. They get to see each other everywhere. I was like, no, it's only for the viewer. And he was like, okay, now I get it. Now I
the
see,
problem
like,
is
the
it's
chess
just
match.
persistent, right? Like that's the thing. We still have a long way to go, and I think eventually when the walls get broken down, I like that TOs are pushing the friendship a little bit more with some of these comms pieces, because that for me is the key to the average viewer. To hear the intricacy of a call in spawn or a mid round, or the intensity,
the emotion involved,
it's the human side of it, right? The comms, because otherwise, like, you've got great reactions, you've got really nice movement, but the Furia comms piece you're talking about, it's such a good example. Like it's that's what Counter-Strike is about, really, at the end of the day. And if we can take steps in being able to show the game in a better way, we're going to bring more viewers in, and that's what we would want, right? That's kind of the goal at the end of the day, is to have more people enjoy what we do.
It's also a piece you don't get from traditional sports. Like, no traditional sport gives you the fucking comms balls deep in the action, you know?
Sure, yeah.
Like, I'll tell you right now, if the NFL releases like a fucking red zone mic'd up lineman stream, they're gonna make $1 million. Oh, sorry, I did $1 million again.
Yeah.
$100 billion.
Okay.
Yeah. I did a Dr. Evil.
Well, I think it's also with the X-ray. Or watching CS. It's compared to the NFL. It's like when you start watching it, you're just watching the guy with the ball.
Yeah.
Sort of, right? And he throws and the guy catches it, and you're like, wow, this guy was wide open. He caught it, right? But then maybe once you look at some of the other things a little bit more, like when you get to see the context of it, you pay attention to like the offensive line and the blocking, and you see, oh, those guys push those guys really far. That's why the guy with the ball had a lot of space to run. It actually wasn't that hard for him to do that. It's the same with context in CS. Whether it's the Oreos, you see, okay, so they use the smoke to block this, then they use the flash on the other side to check this. We saw this happen at the same time, and now when they saw that no one was there, other team had to go through the smoke, or maybe they killed the lurker. Other team has to go. That's why they went through the smoke, because sometimes people also call it like, why are you going through the smoke? It's like, come on, man, pay attention. And you know, in the end, you see it. Oh, right, so they lost that round not because they're bad at shooting, because the other team, I had them out position because they were proactive, made a good information play, right? And I think that's where the gold is when it comes to CS.
I asked if we could get the telestrating tablet or telestrator thing for this, so we'll see if we get it. I know they were having some issues today with the setup, so we'll see what happens. But we can do some stuff during Pro League with that's going to be going on. We also have a big telestrator. That also wasn't set up yet. So
yeah, we'll
cool
see.
Toys.
First couple of days, we'll see how it goes.
Always a little bit shaky.
Okay, the cool thing about Pro League is, like, I can go to the telestrator mid-game, and if I want to do something, I'll just do it and on an anti-eco during a timeout, or even during a live game, if it's, whatever, you can cut to it and we can do it, right? People are way more chill about doing stuff, and there's a lot more space. So we'll see once we get started, how it goes, bro. We did this skit today. It's going to fucking bang.
Should be a good one, yeah.
I think this might be the greatest.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. I'm such a big fan of the
source material.
The source material,
really
so
good.
I'm probably biased by that.
Yeah.
But I think Frank really cooked on that one. I'm just like so excited to see it put together and for it to go out.
There should be a couple nice ones in there. He was filming a bunch of stuff today, doing something with Astralis. I know there's some stuff, just regular content as well that's planned for next week when the big boy teams get here too. There's one where we're hoping to get a bit of like an all-star pug going on for actual ELO. So that should be fun. Aiming to do schoolyard picks. So
dodgeball. Someone's gonna be the last pick.
Yeah. So and if I get the players that I've requested, it should be like all the big names that you'd want to see in the server, right? So should be some fun stuff going on. I think in terms of
what are you having them play, like a proper map or
they can
name
pick.
map?
No,
Like
it's
map out of
5v5. It's essentially just a face
It's
it
a
pug.
face
Just a
it-
pug,
it's a face
yeah.
game.
Okay.
It's face it pug where whoever the two highest ELO people are, which I assume is probably going to be
Donk +1.
Donk plus who is the other one? Probably Monacy or Kyosuke. So
No, who was the other guy? Wasn't someone else recently?
No Cries in NA.
Yeah, but no, maybe I mixed up. Maybe
It could have
was-
been someone else in EU for sure.
Might have been a big dog, but here
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it's Donk and
We'll see
Monacy.
what happens there. I'm trying to think what else happened today. Did the lobby? Jason came in for no reason.
Came in and hung out.
Yeah, that was nice of him.
We came in, and the first thing I said to me, I was like, "It's a bit delayed," and I was like, "Oh, all right, I'll go get comfy."
But you weren't even doing the skit. You were meant to do the lobby.
No, I was just supposed to do 2 hours of the lobby, and then I think by the time I got there, with how everything was delayed, I don't know. No one came and grabbed me.
So no VP, no Lynn Vision. Hopefully Alex covered the rest of the team.
Yeah, VP was supposed to be one of the two.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they were.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. What else?
It was a weird day.
Yeah, it was a weird day. Long day.
It's been a weird event for me, having been here like a week in advance. It's been strange so far.
I
And
think,
it's
that's
only on
what,
day
I think
zero.
that was a vacation. What you did.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying it. It counts as the event, me being here with my family for a week. I'm just saying it's been weird going to an event for work and having been here for a week already, like running around town, hanging out.
Sure, well, that was
Yeah,
me.
you don't have to. It's weird not having to fight jet lag after coming to Europe.
This is strange.
That was me and Alex when we stayed between Dallas and Austin,
going to
right?
the
We came
major.
hang out with
I'm
you
like, I
and
feel
Jane
like
and-
there's not really an event starting tomorrow.
Yeah,
But here we are.
Here we are. We're just hanging out.
Yeah.
We're just having a good old time.
Yeah.
The stretch for the end of the year is going to be interesting. It's like I do this, then I go to Thunder Peak, then from Thunder
Same?
Peak. Yeah, so you're coming to Malta. Nice.
I have this one other event, and then who knows?
Oh yeah. Well, no one knows about the major.
No one knows about the major.
Yeah, the style of the event is up in the air. I don't know what's happening there.
Well, they were waiting for this one to be over to start finalizing stuff, which is honestly, if you ask me, a little bit unserious, right? Like considering how close it is and everything. But we'll see what happens. I don't think people are too, how do I put this? I don't think they have their panties in a twist about whatever ends up happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, longer Christmas break, really, huh? What do we? Well, how long have we been going for?
1 hour and 34 minutes. Do we want to say anything about? We touched on Pro League, but it hasn't even begun yet, so we don't have to do any like crazy conclusions.
And there's weird teams in stage one,
OJ
especially with the changes.
Oja tried to call me back 13 minutes ago.
Oh, give him a call back.
Maybe he finished.
This will be our exit.
Okay, all right.
Will be the OJ phone call. Oh, Torji signs a mouse contract.
Yeah,
That's cool. Good for
Cool.
you.
Good on you, Toji. Let's see if he answers.
The suspense is killing me. I feel like we forgot about something here.
There's too much going on.
He's on
Yeah.
his bicycle. He's heading into the fucking studio.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's what's happened. Right
Oh,
now.
I'll fucking leave it.
Your boy Ozra's coach, Aaron's coach. We talked about in the last episode.
Well, yeah, but then they went and fucking lost
I know, but
at
let's not
Dracula.
talk about the loss. Let's talk about Ozra's coach.
It's going to be interesting. I think that Aaron can have a good amount to offer in terms of what ends up happening within the team and stuff. It feels like they've signed him temporarily, which I don't know how I feel about that, but I do understand it from an organizational perspective because he's never coached before.
Actually, I can't understand that from an organizational perspective. Just because as a coach, if you're getting a short-term contract as your first contract, then you feel like you have no power.
Yeah, but what power do you have
that's
really?
true.
You've never coached.
I mean,
before, so.
I guess it's fair. He doesn't have power.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's not powerful.
Yeah.
I would talk to Aaron a lot about this type of stuff, right? And he's their boys use the TeamSpeak, like Russia's TeamSpeak. So after prac, he'd jump in and come and chat with us and stuff, and him and I would talk through certain things because I think for someone who's doing something for a first time, it's nice to have a soundboard to bounce things off of and just to get some thoughts. So it's been nice talking to him about these things, and I talked to him in the lead up because he said he was interested in it. So I hope it works out for them. I know the short term's obviously not looking good, but for the major, I hope that they kind of get it together. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. You're going into a situation that you've never done before. This is why I have reservations about coaching one day. I don't know like what it is going to. I have an idea of what's going to be required of me and what the workload is and everything like that, but you don't know until you do it. Yeah. So it's just unfortunate the way that this.
The most important thing is that CS ultimately, right? Like you need to know your shit. You need to be prepared. You need to know how you want the team to play. Have things ready, a playbook, moves, all of that stuff. But it is equally important to know how to, manage people. But that becomes easier if you know the CS. Sure. And also with time, the personalities that are on these teams are easier to manage because people are just inherently more professional because everything around us is. And you don't have, that many like just ego problems anymore with teams, right? But one of the mistakes that people also make is they give a little bit too much leeway to the players and they show them maybe a little bit too much respect instead of just being more strict, right? I ran into Hunter and Malbs at the airport coming over, right? And I mean, he was also saw as, a great coach, despite, the fact there's no trophies behind them. I mean, it's understandable, the players and whatnot, but just with the level of preparation and the stuff that he has, and also the level of organization in a sense. Okay, we're doing this. He listens to people's ideas and everything, but makes the final call. And when the call is made, that's it. There's no going back and discussing. And maybe we just do it this way or change this a little bit and do it. No, like what's made is made, and I think you can see it in the way they play, right? Like G2 is not a team that looks lost on the server or anything, or that runs out of ideas, or right. So I think, yeah. It comes down to that more these days. Maybe 5 years ago it was a little bit different because the teams were different and the types of players you had on teams were different. But with time, it's going to be more, guys like Saw who can be really successful. Guys like Blade. I think I'd like to think that Zonix can still be in that group
conversation,
right? And be in that group because you need to know your shit when it comes to Counter-Strike, but you also need to sort of be the authority, right?
Yeah.
You need to be the boss of the team to that extent. So if you're lacking one of the two things, like, I think you're going to struggle.
On that bombshell.
That's for all you
Let's get out of here.
coaches out there. Good luck. God bless.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Where's the stop button?
I think the only thing we didn't talk about is like, what the fuck's going on with Monacy, man?